Hello and welcome back to part 11 of the Greek Galiot from Amati, and as we already know, in the end of each project I give a validation for the model and also a personal verdict. So we have 5 categories in this validation, and the first would be scale and detail level. Second is choice of included materials. Third is the skill level. Fourth would be the instructions, and fifth category is the price value. So for each of these categories I can give a maximum of 10 points, so that means a total of 50 points. And then we have the last category, that is my personal verdict, which based on emotion mostly, and there I can give a maximum of 50 points. So let us start with the first category, and that's the scale and detail level. Well, at first thought, I thought this model would be quite small, but in the end, with a total length of 54 cm and a beam of 22 cm, which include the oars, the model has quite a size, and I think the added details, without what the work I have done additional to the model, is quite enough, and it looks really nice, even so out of the box. So I think the scale and the detail level is quite nice, and it does not occupy so much space in your shelves, and so I give 7 out of 10 possible points. The choice of materials. Well, there comes the catch. There are plenty of materials in the kit I do not agree with, and I wish Amati will improve this kit in the future, so that will be a much better point for this model. So there are plenty of points I really would love to see that they change it. So the first is the wood of the or the dowels for the masts, and I really disagree to the beechwood dowels because of the shape of the mast. I wish they included walnut dowels like I have used in this model to fabricate those, let's say, complicated masts, and that would be much easier. And the second is the included wooden cleats. They are way out of scale. So if you watch the video where I compared the wooden cleats to the changed 7mm metal cleats I put on the model, the 7mm metal cleats looks way more scale than the included wooden cleats. So that would be also a very big point. The third would be the anchors. I wish there would be 2 pieces of anchor in the model instead of 1, but 1 anchor is also quite nice, but 2 anchors would be nicer. So the first would be the rudder hinges. And it's always nice to have workable rudder hinges in the kit, but this kit is 1/65 scale, and so the workable hinges are quite large, and so the distance between the hull or the keel and the rudder would be also quite large. So I think an ordinary brass strip like I have used to fabricate those hinges would be much better than the workable hinges. The fifth would be the rigging yarn, and it would be nice if they included a 0.25mm yarn to fabricate those running rigging, especially for the bulging of the sail. That means the lines which are attached to the edge of the sail and then run to the spar, so that they can bulge the sail. That would be also nice. There's another thing, there was a comment on one of the videos that the scale of the cannons looks quite weird, and I can't really disagree to this comment, because I also think that a little bit smaller cannons, which occupy a lot of space in the model, would look much more scale and also nicer. But well, the 2 cannons which are included are also nicely detailed, and they look nice. So then we have the included hull planks, and don't misunderstand this, because the wood they have used the grain and the final result really looks nice. I only wish that the planks would be a little bit thicker than 1 millimeter. Because of the small size of the model, you have to work very close to the tolerances of this model. So like me, I ended up in some places sanding almost through the hull, because I have some bumps and dents in the hull, and so you have to be very careful to not sand through the hull. So a little bit thicker hull planks would be much nicer. On the plus side, we have an included stand, which unfortunately made out of MDF, but with a little bit tricks, you can look them also really nice. So, and because of all this, what I think are issues, I give only 3 out of possible 10 points. So the third would be the skill level, and I would not recommend this model for a total beginner because of some issues of this model. Well, the instructions are very old and very basic, and the biggest problem is that there are no instructions regarding the rigging, but I come to this a little bit later. So the skill level should be medium to advanced, not advisable for a beginner, and so here I give only 5 out of possible 10 points. Coming to the fourth category, and that's the instructions. As already said before, the instructions are very old and very basic, and originally they made only in Italian, and so I was really happy that they included already an English translation on the instruction sheet, and not like other kits which has an additional piece of paper where is the English translation, so you have to permanently switch between the sheet and the instruction. That's not on this model. But the very biggest downside on this instruction is there are really no instruction regarding the rigging, and that can be a no-go for a beginner, because the only instruction for the rigging is on the 1:1 scale plans, and they are very difficult to read. You can imagine that a model with a 1:65 fifth scale size in 1:1 has a lot of lines, and so it's very difficult to follow these lines on the map. Even so, there are included arrows where the running rigging is going, but it's very difficult to read. So I wish there would be more specific instructions in the instruction, how to make knots and where the lines are going. So that would be a nice thing to have. So here also 3 out of possible 10 points. Coming to price value. Well, the model cost 102 euros plus shipping, and it's very difficult to compare it to other models. If I compare it to the Ocre Bounty Boat and the San Juan, which is quite a similar model, so the Amati kit is here on the high side, and I know that the other kits from Ocre are way cheaper, not way, but they are cheaper, but from experience I also know that they have a different type of detail level. And so yes, I can say it's worth the 102 euros, but a wishful thinking, maybe it would be cheaper. But anyway, so since my mind is split here, I would also say 5 out of possible 10 points. Alright, so we now coming to the personal verdict of mine, and you may wondering why my verdict is quite different than the last 5 categories we just talked about. And that is because my verdict is based on emotions and not on facts like the 5 categories before. Well, in the first moment when Amati announced to send me over this model, I thought, well, that's nice, quite nice weekend project, and let it come and I will finish it. during the construction, I really have to change my mind, and even so, I had to add some details, in my opinion, because I always like to add some details, like most of you too. I thought, yeah, that is not an ordinary model, and it looks really nice in the end. And together with the oars, it's quite some special thing. And so it's really not easy to make a verdict, but if somebody would ask me if I would do this model again, I would say yes. I would build it again, and quite in the same way, because that, I think, the details I've added and the changes I made just completed the model. And so I hope that Amati will do some improvements on this model in the future, and maybe add some 3D printed parts or plastic parts and some photo etch parts. That would make quite an improvement on this model. And I know that Amati will watch my videos, and they're very interested to my verdict. That would be a suggestion for you, Amati. Well, so and overall, it's really a nice model, and because of that, I really cannot say much on this model, because it has no really plenty of details, but the overall look of this model looks really nice, and it's quite an addition to your collection. So if I were you, check it out and give it a try. So because of that, I would say 45 out of 50 points would be okay for this model. So together with the 28 points from the 5 categories, we have now, let me 65, 73 points if I'm correct. So that is the total amount of points I can give to this model. And as already said before in all the validations I made, it's a personal validation, and you may see this from another point of view, but it might be also a help for you to make a decision to buy or to build this model. Well, enough talking for this model. Let us enjoy now the final pictures of this model, and up to then, stay tuned and see you there.